Hi guys, it's Renee Rose. We're on our third session of Renee's podcast of Business Breakthrough. Tonight we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about profits and profitability. So I am looking forward to this session. I hope that you all are looking forward to this session. I hope that you get a lot out of it because ultimately we want to make this money. Good evening, guys. I'm so happy to see you. You all came back. Yay. Okay. What'd you say? Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Good
Yes.
evening. So tonight we are going to talk about what we all want, the money, right? That's why we're here. That's why we want to learn this. That's why we want to be entrepreneurs. We want to make money. So tonight we're going to focus on profitability. Now, I asked you all last week, for the ones who were here, to think about profitability. How are you going to do it? Is it going to be off your net profits or is it going to be from your gross? Did you all have some time to think about that? I can't hear you.
I said sure.
Okay. Well, so when you think about it in the terms of net and gross profitability and how you want to measure it, those things sound a little bit daunting, right? But it's really not. Tonight, I'm going to walk you through it, okay? Now, what I'm going to give you, remember I told you all last week, this is going to be more of probably a collegiate session as opposed to the other ones where we were more free-flowing. But tonight, because we're talking about money, I want you to really get this, okay? So let's just jump right in. Who can tell me what revenue is? What is revenue?
Money brought in by sales.
Money that's brought in by sales. What is the profit?
Money you've made off of the sales.
And is profit and revenue the same?
No.
Okay. So I see you all have been really like working hard and getting some information in this class. I like it. You're right. Profit and revenue are not the same. Revenue is going to be the total amount of all the money from the sales that you make or the service that you offer. And then the profit is going to be whatever is left over. Now, you got to figure out how you want to measure that profitability, right? Because otherwise you're just bringing in money and then you don't know what to do with it. And if you don't know what to do with it, guess who does know? The government, the IRS, right? And so we don't want to have those problems. So what we want to do is make sure that we are maximizing all of the profits and that we're utilizing our revenue in a way that we won't have to have issues down the line with the IRS. Now, when you measure your profitability, you should be measuring it by either quarterly, weekly, monthly sessions. Basically, it's going to be how you look at your business financially. Are we following? Why do you need to make sure you're looking at it in a weekly, quarterly, monthly basis? It could be yearly. It's whatever you determine is for your business. But why are you measuring it that way?
To see if you're making progress or if any adjustments or things need to be made. You don't want to wait until the end of the fiscal year and be like, oh my gosh, you need those periodic check-ins.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you are doing and you're measuring profitability, does anybody know what a healthy profit margin should be for a business or a new business?
Wouldn't that be based on that type of business, like within whatever market that is? Wouldn't that vary? Or is that going to be something that's going to be the same across the board?
So you're right. It would vary based on the business, but it is typically somewhere between 7 and 10%. That's going to be a healthy margin, a healthy profit margin for a new business that is recently opening or a transitioning business. When I say transitioning business, what I mean is is sometimes people will change and do DBAs, or they may take over a business from someone else. You want to, when you do that, make sure that you have at least a 7 to 10% profit margin. Now, what happens when people say, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I actually looked this up yesterday because I actually did not remember your question, so I reached out to Devin and looked this up, and it was a 10% profit margin generally considered good, while 20% excuse me is higher. A 5% margin is considered low and not indicate under your profit. And then it was a gross profit margin, and so it just went on from there. But I really enjoyed that.
You enjoyed that? So I don't know where you looked up your information, but you can see there's a little bit of credence to what I'm saying. But so the reason that you don't want to have, I won't even tell you the reason. I'm going to give you an example. Think about this. Bernie Madoff, his profit margin was thousands, right? Why is that? Because he was running a Ponzi scheme, right? There is typically not a business that is brand new, or an entrepreneur that is brand new, that is making 50 and 60% of a profit. If they are, there is something that they're not accounting for. There is something that is drastically wrong. Are we following? I think because Devin's been leading us for so long in these sessions, you guys are really, really quiet because he seems to be shopping or something. I don't know.
I'm in Vegas, actually.
Can you get some shoes for us? But thank you for joining, even though you are in Vegas. Is this Miss Tover that's on here? This is Tiana? Good job.
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So now we are going to, we talked about measuring, we talked about what a healthy profit margin is. What types of things can affect your profit margin?
Your debt?
That could. It's a lot of things. It could be the debt. It could be the amount of money that one put into the business. It could be the way you do your accounting. Accounting is going to be a major one that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But all of those things affect your profit margin. Let me give you another brief example. Let's say we're back to cupcakes again. So we know that Ms. Tover is making these amazing cupcakes. And remember last week we talked about how she got her eggs from, I think it was Australia, and they were squab eggs, and she was using 5 as opposed to using 3. Remember that? That was a hypothetical that I gave. So now she's opened her doors. She has her brick and mortar because people like us have harassed her all this time to open up a business. And she's like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and open up a brick and mortar. She has $50,000 that she can invest into her business, right? So she takes her $50,000. She buys everything that she needs to buy. She gets the business up and going. She has the pretty colors, decorated beautifully. After she is done, the doors open. Now what she has is she's ready to start cooking. But lo and behold, her mixer goes out. And because she's making cupcakes by the hundreds per day, she has to get an industrial mixer. This industrial mixer runs her about $23,000. She purchases it. Now we're at a place where she's like, okay, I got the money for the mixer. Everything is open. Let's start baking. And she's baking and baking and baking. While she's baking, she's decided that she's going to sell her cupcakes for $6 a cupcake because they're pretty big. Her first month, she has made $57,000 her first month. Has she made a profit?
Yes, because the mixer was 23,000,
The mixer was 23,000.
so she doubled what she spent.
Okay. Anyone else? Misha?
I'm I'm trying to think what else she did though.
Okay, I'll go back. She
Yeah.
started with 50,000. 50,000 was for her to open her doors. She opened the doors, everything is great. But you have to remember, she's importing her eggs from Australia because she's only using eggs that comes from squab. So she's having to pay for one, a specialty egg. Two, she's paying for the shipping on the eggs. But not only is she paying for the shipping and all of that, remember, some people was using 3 eggs, she's using 5, right? Once she got done decorating, she's opened the doors. Now she's at a place where she's ready to bake, but that mixer breaks, and that's an additional $23,000. She says, you know what? I got the 23. I'm gonna go ahead and buy the mixer, and she does. Her first month, she's made $57,000. Has she made a profit?
No.
It depends on what her expenses were.
I think she's gonna, if she has, it's very low because of everything else that she, with the shipping, the eggs, all that, it's gonna be low.
Okay.
I don't know what those expenses were for exactly, for the eggs, the shipping, all those costs, the decorating, everything. So, I mean, once I get those totals, but I think it's gonna be low.
Okay, so let me give you some totals. And this is not a math question. This is just me trying to make it real for you. She came in with 50. The rent on the place that she is getting would be about $700 or $800 a month. But she and her husband decided, we don't want to rent the place. We think it's better if we purchase it. So they purchased the place, and they got a great deal because they know people in the community. So they were able to get the place at a steal for $35,000. Now, she's loves beautiful things. Her favorite color is, I don't know, pink and purple or pink and green, I don't know. And so based on that, Shanika, that was for you, the pink and green. So based on that, she has spent, and she wants this to be a place where we can come sit down and eat cupcakes. So she has these really nice chairs, and she has these really nice tables. And because she is, Miss Tolver, she wants us to have these special spoons, right? And these are some spoons that she has paid wholesale about $300 for 200. Okay, are we following? So now she's like, okay, we're open on the decorations. She spent maybe, I don't know, 20,000. Now the mixer is broken. She's purchasing a new mixer. She has the money in her bank account. So she says, I'm just going to purchase it. That's $23,000 extra dollars that she had not accounted for. But because we've been waiting so long for her to open, she's booming right out the door. She makes $57,000 the first month. Did she make a profit?
No.
Did she make revenue?
She made revenue.
She made revenue.
She did a profit.
Okay. Now, does it matter that that 23,000 came out of her and her husband's pocket as opposed to the initial $50,000 that she had?
She can always pay herself back. She can create and make her write herself a check.
She can.
Like a payroll.
She can, but right now, she is not wanting to take money out of the business to do that. She's only paying herself a salary, which is something else that we're going to get into. So the question is, she pulled out her Amex. She swiped it for 23,000. She made 57,000. So she doesn't feel it right now. She doesn't feel the struggle of a new business because she's like, I made this 57,000. But did she make a profit?
No, because she went in a negative when she used her own money.
Exactly. That's what entrepreneurs always mix up. Yes, the money has come in. Yes, you've made the money, but all you really did was probably break even, if you broke even. In her situation, she probably didn't even break even. Why?
Because of the price of the mixer, as well as having to pay the overhead and any additional costs that came in with it.
Okay. Now, she then says, I want to go check out the farm because I want to be socially responsible. So I'm going to go and check out the farm where they're raising the squab. I want to make sure that they're pasture raised. I am going to go to Australia myself and I am going to check this farm out. Because she got the ticket, because she was thinking of this in the middle of the night, and now she's awake and she's like me, she wants it right now. And so because she wants it right now, she purchases her ticket. The ticket is $2,300. Then she has to get a hotel. Then she has to eat while she's there. She has to Uber while she's there because she doesn't want to rent a car. Altogether, she's probably spent about 10 grand on this trip. She comes back the second month. This month, she makes $43,000 in sales. Did she make a profit? Miss Banks?
No, she didn't.
Okay. If she made a profit, it's so marginal, it's almost as if she didn't. She keeps doing this for the next 6 months. But everybody's talking about her cupcakes. Everybody loves these cupcakes. She's in the place, she's making them day and night. She is working hard. But the profit margin is low. What can she do?
Adjust her pricing.
Well, she's charging $6, and we don't mind paying the $6.
Up her price. Cut back on her expenses.
Well, it's your expenses, but she could cut back on her expenses. So when she cuts back on her expenses, she realizes, I'm not running a business the way I planned in my head. The way I saw things, it was this particular way. If I cut out using 5 eggs and only use 3, that'll save me some money. If I don't have to go back to Australia because I already checked out the farm. So that's fine. I need this mixer. I've already bought the chairs. What else can she cut back on? The spoons, maybe? Because she's like, these spoons are eating into my profit. But when Marsha goes in, she says, oh my God, look at these spoons. I love them. And she tells all of her friends about these beautiful spoons because no one else in Lake County has these spoons. So Marsha tells Miss Winston. Miss Winston goes and she doesn't see those spoons. And she says, what happened to the spoons? And Miss Tolver says, well, I was just making some changes. Now her business is gone from 40,000, she's at 38,000. Is that an issue for her? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Lakeisha? Go ahead, Marsha.
So, yes, that is an issue for her. So, in those situations like that, because I have been in that situation, so oftentimes when you have you put more into one of your items that you're known for, and then the lesser item that you're not known for, you maybe not paying as much for it, so you can have that, you can see a profit over there versus seeing a profit with what did you say it was? Because I came in on the end. What is it that she is the donuts?
She does the cupcakes from last week.
So she's not even paying attention to the spoons, and she's trying to save money, so she's gonna cut out the spoons. But now she can see that the spoons is bringing in a profit too. So maybe that area can help pay for the cupcake area. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say?
Kind of, sort of, because the cupcakes sell. And this is not a math problem, guys. What I'm getting at is I'm trying to help you all to understand how to digest when your profit is being cut into by certain things in your revenue. And then when those things are combining and they're mixing and it's not mixing the way you want it to, what do we do next? So don't think about the numbers of it. That's why I'm just giving you juicy numbers, nothing where you got to write it down. But where are we? What is she gonna do? Go ahead, Marsha.
So then what she may have to do is, if the cupcake is her main concern, that's what she wants to concentrate mostly.
That's what she does. She sells cupcakes.
So if you selling cupcakes, you don't need to be selling chicken.
She doesn't.
So
all she sells is cupcakes.
Right, but you say she got the spoons. If she's had spoons in there, even though I came in there and I like the spoons, if she needs to cut something out, maybe she needs to cut out the spoons and concentrate solely on the cupcakes.
Okay.
Didn't she cut the spoons though, and that brought her revenue down by $2,000. The customers may come in and like the spoons with the cupcakes just as an added perk, so to speak. So they might like looking at that, or they might be like someone else I know that collects things of that nature and just like them because they could be something special. Each one could be unique, could be different, but it's something about those spoons that the customers like.
Exactly.
And she liked them as well when she started the business. It was something unique to her as well. So
Exactly.
those two things that she liked. You know, the cupcakes and the spoons were unique. So she has to keep those two things going.
Right. So all of these answers are correct, right? This is what the heart of entrepreneurship is. It is about learning how to pivot when you need to pivot. It is also about learning how to stay strong, even in those times where you're like, oh my God, I might be drowning a little bit. Now, in the hypothetical that I just gave you, she can't let the spoons go because when she did, her profits dropped. So she's paying a little bit more for the spoons, but what she's also doing is giving the customer a higher experience, right? That's why she's able to charge $6 a cupcake. That's why she's able to have these really nice spoons, this really nice sitting area for you to be in, correct? Now, even though right now she's not bringing in a ton of money, she is seeing about a 5% profit margin. If she stays in business, that profit margin should go up, ideally, right? If she starts changing things at month 3, do you think her profit margin will go up or will it go down?
I think it depends on what's the changing. It might go
Well,
up.
Here's what she's changing. She is gonna get rid of those spoons. She's gonna get one that's similar, but not the same. These spoons just turn colors depending on the icing that she uses. So whenever you eat it, if she uses cream cheese icing, it turns pink. If she uses whipped cream, it turns blue. Whatever, it's something that her little niche thing, right? But also remember, she stopped using 5 eggs. She's only using 3 eggs now. So there's a savings on those eggs, right?
Right.
But customers like me go in and go, this tastes different.
So it could end up actually going down because with the changes, whatever the quality was, it's half of the original quality.
Exactly. And that's where we're going right now. That's what I wanted to hit on. So when you're looking at like your revenue and your profits and your profit margins and things like that, you have to consider the product and the service that you're offering. You got to consider the demand for that product or that service before you start to make any changes. You got to realize what's my supply and what's the demand. It's simple economics 101, right? So clearly she's in high demand. But next week when we get to branding, I want you all to remember this particular hypo because we're going to talk about it more on how she's going to pivot to keep going and not close shop. One of the most important things, if you all don't listen to anything else I tell you tonight, entrepreneurs have to get paid. You have to. The quickest way to go out of business is to not pay yourself. Why is that?
You get burned out.
You could get burned out.
You probably can't purchase nothing for me.
Okay. What if you're in the service industry though? What if what you do is clean homes and you're cleaning homes, you have this profitable or really nice cleaning business, but all of a sudden now you've done this invoice system and so they're not paying you as regular, right? So that's a service. There's nothing you need to cut back on. What do you do when you're not getting paid?
I don't know.
Anybody?
Figure out ways to get paid.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said figure out ways to get paid. But no, I think that's where we were talking about those finances earlier in your profit margins, like what money do you have stored for a rainy day? That would be my thoughts until you can figure out how to generate more income.
Would you believe me if I told you that most entrepreneurs don't have a rainy day fund?
I do believe you.
It's not because they don't want to, it's because they just don't have it, right?
Do they got another job?
She had another job, but then she decided, you know what? And on her other job, she was making really good money. But then she decided, this is what I want to do. So does she just quit now and say, you know what, I'm going to give up this dream and just go back to work? Or do you keep plowing along?
Start running specials. Yeah.
You start running sessions for cupcakes?
Specials.
Oh, specials.
Yeah.
Let's talk about specials. As a new entrepreneur, can you afford to run a special?
Probably not.
Probably not.
You cannot. Is that Nazir? Miss
Yes.
Winston, what were you saying?
Some baby talking.
Was somebody else saying something? No? Okay. So you don't just say, you know, I'm just going to fold it up and be done. You can't just say, I'm going to give out specials. Because when you give out specials, that $40,000 that she made, it now goes down to $30,000. So she's in a worse position. That is one of the things that we often do, or I see entrepreneurs do. They'll say, I gotta just run a special. I gotta do something cheaper. No, what you gotta do is what we talked about last week was what? Your policies and procedures. And then you gotta keep plowing through. Last week when I hit your P&Ps, I hit it pretty hard, right? Let me explain how that eats into your profit and why it's important. Your policies and procedures are going to help you determine how you calculate the expenses that you have. Here's what I mean by that. Remember I told you she went to Australia to go look at the eggs, She's not using the 5 anymore. Well, she's kind of debating. Remember all the money she had to spend on the Uber, the money she had to spend on food, the plane tickets, and all of those things, right? Now, because she took this class, she's like, you know, I remember Renee telling me to keep good records. I remember Renee telling me not to go to Miss Mary up the block who knows how to do taxes. Renee told me I should get an accountant. Why did I tell her to get an accountant? And don't get me wrong, Miss Mary up the street, she's gonna get her a good payday.
To make sure her money right.
That's one reason, to make sure her money's right. What else?
To make sure her profits and her losses, that her losses don't overshadow the profit.
Well, they can't help that.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Marsha.
To make sure that, well, I just know the accountant knows things that you should count and you don't. So if you have the right accountant, you know when you're going to these trips and doing all this stuff, you know what to keep tally on. So you have
Exactly.
the proper sheets. So when you go, everything you can, it'll work out. The accountant lets you know what you can and cannot do.
Exactly.
Your deductions.
Right.
Write-offs.
Someone else is speaking. Ms. Tover, were you speaking?
I said your deductions and your write-offs. What is actually business related?
Exactly. So here's why I hit the profits, the PMPs last week, and why we're bringing it into the profits now. The way you do business, the things that you write off, the way you write them off will affect your profit margin. Now, you might say, Renee, how is that? In the examples that I gave you, let's say she just decided, I'm going to just go to Miss Mary. Miss Mary knows how to do taxes. But what she doesn't know is the tax code for now she's an S Corp or she's a C Corp. How does she get her taxes to flow through? Is she a flow through entity? Is she an entity where she's an employee? On your daily basis, at least weekly, but I'm going to say daily, depending on the type of business you do. You need to be able to account for every single dime in your business, every dime. And it's not only that you accounted for it, you have to account for it and categorize it the proper way. Categorizing your expenses will save you a lot of money on your taxes. But if you don't characterize it right, like some people will say, oh, the trip that she took, well, we're just going to label that as a business expense. Well, you can label it as a business expense, but let's be more specific in that business expense. It's for travel. Not only is it for travel, then she had to eat. So that's food. She might have gone somewhere. That might be entertainment. You'll say, well, Renee, we don't want to put all of that on our profit statement. What do you think? Should she put it on a profit statement? Should she account for it?
For everything. You should account for everything that you spend.
You account.
Because it just for audit purposes, just in case,
Mm-hmm.
to cover yourself.
But let's go beyond the audit. Remember on week 1, we talked about, are you a sole proprietor? Are you an LLC? Or are you an S Corp? Remember we talked about those things? And then we talked about how taxes flow through, or if you're an employee, remember we talked about all of that, right? So now that the doors are open to the Cupcake Place, what we want to do is make sure that every single expense, right down to the gas in her car, the mileage in her car, is all accounted for. Because what you all, or not you all specifically, but what most people don't know is there are tax breaks that's set up for each and every part of your business. But not only is it a tax break, there are tax rules. So for example, if you are using your car? Are you writing off mileage or are you writing off gas? Are you writing off repairs? What are you writing off? Why is it important? Because it's going to affect your profits. So Ms. Tolbert is decided that she is now in her second year of business. She's done well. She says, well, you know what? I'm going to hire out and get some people to come in and work because I want to hire and give back to the community. It's a great thing. She hires 4 teenagers to work around the clock for her. Those 4 teenagers, one is her sister's child. You following? Each one of them make minimum wage. Her sister's child gets a paycheck just like everyone else. So she's kind of keeping her money in the family, yes? She is. But she's also getting a write-off for having employees. Now, she sends the employees to Sam's or Restaurant Depot. She says, I'm going to just give you your money back for gas. Should she do that? They came to her and they said, hey, Tiana, I went to Costco like you told me to. You owe me $25 for gas. She goes in her purse and she says, okay, here you go.
No, she shouldn't do that.
What should she do?
Go through the business. I think.
Write them a check
Write them a check from where?
from her business account.
Absolutely. You would give it from the business account. Now, entrepreneurs don't like to do this because we don't like paperwork, right? But here's what I'm going to tell you to do. You will get a reimbursement form. Every single time you have to reimburse your employees, they should be filling out that form.
Mm-hmm.
They fill out that form because at the end of the year, she needs that for her taxes. You're like, Renee, why are you keep talking about the taxes? Well, the taxes is going to affect her profit margin. So she's made $280,000 this year on cupcakes. This is her second year. This $280,000 in revenue that came in after she's done all of her losses, all of her expenses, she's had roughly $80,000 left. She pays herself a paycheck because she's an employee of the business. Let me know if I'm losing you, okay? So she pays herself as an employee of the business. But every now and then, and she's disciplined, she's like, you know, I'm going to take a little bit extra this month. And she takes an additional $5,000, right? Well, in taking that $5,000, is she paying taxes on it?
You should pay taxes on it.
Okay.
The business is, she's supposed to, but it doesn't sound like she is.
Is the business going to pay taxes on it?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. And so the business is going to pay taxes on it, and then she's going to get more income, and then she's just going to walk away?
No.
Because that would be tax evasion, right?
No, you need to pay taxes on it as well.
She's going to pay taxes on that as well. So remember when we talk about flow-through entities? This is exactly what we're talking about. So what happens is she gets her paycheck over here. She pays herself $60,000 a year. But every so often, she goes and she takes an additional $5,000. When she has done her tax on her itemizations on her what we call K1s, it is going to show every single distribution that she took. The $5,000 that I'm talking about, that's what we call distributions or shareholders distributions. So she's going to report all of that, right? Because if she doesn't, then she's going to have some issues with the IRS. So when her taxes are being filed, she's paying over here as a private person and then as her business. All of the funds that she took out as a distribution is going to be listed on her personal taxes. That's what she's going to owe money on. The money over here that was for the business, that's what the business is going to owe on. That's going to be her paycheck and all of her expenses and all of her losses. Are you guys following me? Is it a little too complicated for you? We good?
It's one of those that I'd have to do it again, but I understand.
You understand?
Getting it, yes.
Now, I am hitting on these things because these are important issues for entrepreneurs. If you don't understand the basics of your money, you will not be in business long. That's just the nutshell. You will not, because you won't be able to sustain. Because profits is such an in-depth one, I actually am using my notes that I teach my class with, because I want you all to get everything and to get as much information as I can possibly give you. So that's why I'm asking a lot of questions, because it can be a lot and you can get lost in the weeds.
Will you provide an outline or notes for us at the end of our?
I will. At the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile an outline of everything. I am going to give you all some resources. And then we're going to talk about, if you want to move forward, how I can assist in that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So now she's gotten all of these cupcakes done. And she says, you know, I think I want to do more. And her husband's like, we here for it, babe. What you want to do? And she says, I think we can take this business farther than Lake County. He says, okay. That's called scaling a business. Have you all ever heard of that? No? Okay. So,
Yes, but don't know what it means.
okay. So scaling is the process of growing a company while keeping steady cash flow, right? So that's not going out to get another job. That is keeping steady cash flow within the business and then still growing your business. For me, scaling looks like this. I am in the process of getting a law license in Tennessee. I am in the process of working cases in New York. I am also doing other little things to bring money in to this business as well. All of those things is keeping the money flowing in here, but it's growing and getting bigger. So that's what we call scaling a business. Sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, I'm just expanding. No, I want you to be a real business owner. I want you to be a real boss. So we're going to use real boss words, and we're going to understand what those words mean, so that when people are talking to you or you are talking to someone to describe your business, you sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. So
becoming more profitable, basically, is that what it is?
it is becoming more profitable, but it is also growing the business. So it's not just I'm making money in this particular area. I'm scaling. I'm getting bigger. We're growing. Think of it as a fat person, without being offensive, but we're growing, right? And not only are we growing, we're not losing anything during the growth. If you all live in Lake County, I'm sure you're familiar with Wildberry, right? They are the masters of scaling a business without losing income. And they're only open maybe 8 or 9 hours a day. How do they manage that? Well, they manage that. Were you about to say something?
I was going to say scaling, basically.
They do it.
And reaching out to other areas as well. And I probably have done enough research to see where they could be profitable as well, because Wildberry is a good breakfast brunch location. So other areas that they could do the same.
So why don't they sell grits? Grits is cheap.
Didn't know that they didn't, but okay.
But why wouldn't they?
Demographics. Some people don't eat grits.
That could be true.
I was wait a minute, getting ready to look on there, looking to see who's on here. They don't eat grits. Some of them don't eat grits.
But some of them do eat grits.
True.
They
if
like
were some
they like the
grits.
grits with the shrimp.
Yes, yeah, but Wildberry may not serve grits and shrimp and grits.
They
They
don't.
may not have. Okay, so
They don't serve grits. So I said to the owners a couple times, like, why don't you sell grits? Grits are cheap, goes a long way. You can make a lot of money. He says, Renee, we're not good at grits. We sell what we're good at. I'm like, makes sense. Because although you can buy a pound of grits for, I don't know, $2, we're not good at grits. And you say, well, right. And you say, well, selling those grits won't really cost you much. But if you're not good at them, it'll make you lose money. How is that?
that makes sense. Like buttermilk doesn't either.
Because no one will order them.
Well, let's say every day, at least 80 people order grits. But they're and people pay for them. They didn't complain and take it off the bill. They just wrote a bad review.
Right. But then look at all the people that said, oh, don't get grits from over there. They can't cook no grits. And it turned people away. Like me, who really like grits. That would turn me away.
Okay. Anybody else?
That may just turn people away from coming, period. And then, that would stop people from coming to taste what other things they have to offer.
Okay. I want to.
Which is what, they're known for. And that one thing just threw it all off.
I want to go a little bit deeper. Think about the finances. Okay. So we already know the grits are cheap. We already know at least 80 people a day are ordering them. Even though they're kind of what else can be an issue with them selling something that's even though people are
They're
purchasing
wasting their time making a product that they don't need to make. And that's
exactly.
not making them money. Stick to what you know. You wouldn't go to a chicken place and order a lobster. Like that's not what they do.
Exactly. So, and what she just said is absolutely true, because here's the thing. Someone has to take the time to cook those grits, right? So you paying that person to cook them. You mixing all of these ingredients in them and they still nasty, right? Then you have to have the waitress to go out and serve those grits, right? So you got to pay that waitress. We've paid 2 people to serve and cook something that no one wants to eat, even though somebody paid for it, but they leave it on the table. Then you got to have the busboy go pick it up, dump it out. You got to pay the busboy. So we're down right now probably $100 on a bowl of grits. That
And
doesn't
really
make sense.
down more than that because you got to pay for all the other stuff to go into grits too.
Exactly. So do you see?
Sugar grits type people?
No, we don't do that. Well, anybody eat no sugar?
Don't put sugar on their grits.
It's
There's
cheese.
salt and butter, cheese.
I'm from the South.
Sugar on.
No sugar and grits.
I
No.
needed to know my audience. I'm sorry.
Cause sugar on grits, I gotta rethink. I gotta rethink the friendship. Right. So, do you all see how sometimes taking shortcuts can lead to you spending more money? I wanted Queen Bees to be on tonight because she sells food. When we sell food, we think, oh my God, I know how to cook. I'm gonna sell food, right? Example. So, I think I can cook. No, I'm not a good example because I'm not gonna cook. Okay, so Miss Jackson cooks. She's like, I know how to make this gumbo. I'm gonna open up this Southern restaurant. And I'm gonna call it Twin Cities, or I don't know, Southern Smoke. And so I'm like, okay, guys, let's go. Everything's open, she's doing well. And it kind of reminds me of that place in Gurney that just opened that's like Caribbean food, but I won't name the name. But the food is really nasty. And they told me, eat it with your eyes. And I'm like, they said it tastes better than it looks. And I'm like, I eat with my eyes. So you taste it first, and then I'll let you know. They wouldn't taste it. I didn't taste it. Needless to say, I wanted my money back. But I digress. That was just me being a little shady, a little petty. But anyway, so Ms. Jackson says, I'm going to sell gumbo. I'm going to put, what you want to put in the gumbo?
Crawfish,
Oh, crawfish and gumbo. Where are you from?
Louisiana.
You put crawfish in the gumbo?
We can and do.
I ain't never had no crawfish and no gumbo, and I was born in Louisiana. But we're going to come back to that recipe. Okay.
We'll talk about that.
What else you going to put in the gumbo?
A sausage, chicken, shrimp.
What kind of sausage?
Most people like a Dewey sausage. I don't care for a Dewey sausage, so I put smoked sausage in.
Okay, we're going with what you cook. It's how you cook it. So you got sausage, chicken, crawfish, shrimp. Ooh, this is gonna be meaty. What else?
It is. And if I didn't say chicken, boil the chicken.
Mm-hmm. What kind of chicken? Legs, breasts, thighs? You gonna cut up chicken breast? What you doing?
What I do is boil it till it falls off the bones. If I don't use the chicken, I use especially around Thanksgiving, we use carcass of the turkey and take that meat and let it shred and fall apart.
Okay. So you guys listening to are you listening to her ingredients?
And then there's okra and there's tomatoes, and that's it.
Okay. And are you serving it with rice?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay.
Some people can't have rice. So we're, in some cases, upscaling to either
polenta?
No. What can I say? It's like rice, but
Couscous?
yes.
Okay. Now, if you order the gumbo for a bowl, how much are you charging?
For everything that I've spent, probably $12 for the bowl.
12 for the bowl, okay? And if you order it with couscous, how much are you spending?
15, because couscous is more expensive because of it being a grain.
Okay. And are you gonna give us a little crostini with it, or just cornbread? What we getting with it?
Cornbread, or hot water cornbread, actually.
Hot water cornbread. Oh, okay. I don't know what hot water cornbread is. I don't know if you dip it in hot water or something, but let's go with it. Do you need to use oil to cook that cornbread?
You do.
Okay. Now, is the cornbread extra, or does that come with the $12 and a $15 bowl?
It's gonna come automatically with it.
Okay. Now, I want to take it to go.
Price will be the same.
Price be the same. What kind of bowls are you giving me? Don't give me that little styrofoam where as soon as I touch the bag, it start falling out. It's all over my clothes. Don't give me that. What kind of bowl are you gonna give me?
The plastic bowls with the lids over the top that you serve like if you're going for an Asian restaurant with a clear top.
Oh, fancy. The ones you reuse and put them in the dishwasher, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Now, let's break it down. You've charged $12. How much did you make off of that?
Depends on how much I sell.
Okay, you sold the whole pot, and you make one of those pots that you can get.
A stock pot?
Sure, let's go with the stock pot. That's the big pot, right? Let's go with that. Now, the stock pot holds, you'd make 3 stock pots full, and they sell out daily. And each stock pot carries how many? How many bowls can you get from that?
Now that's a great question.
Just eyeball it.
And wait, how many ounces in the bowl?
That was the next, that and how many ounces is the stock pot, because there's 3 or 4 different sizes.
Let's go with the stock pot is, I don't even know what you would do with a pot, but I know how to use a pot, obviously, maybe. But I saw that. But it's a lot in the pot. You're gonna get 50 bowls from a pot. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Okay. Now the chicken, the crawfish, the shrimp, the andouille sausage. No, you don't like andouille, so we the smoked sausage, and the couscous or the rice, and the cornbread,
Okra.
and the okra, and the tomatoes. We're at $15 per bowl. How much
Ugh.
have you spent on that?
In other terms, a grip, but truly, a few thousand, not even a couple hundred.
Let's say for each bowl, you spend $10 to make it.
Mm-mm.
How much is the bowl with the lid?
Oh, you get those discounted on Amazon.
We're
I
gonna
said
go and
$2.
talk about that too.
Yeah. Maybe $4. Maybe.
The bowl
I
is
think-
maybe $4.
Mhm.
Okay. And the cornbread,
Very reasonable.
okay, cornbread is very reasonable. I'm gonna throw out some juicy numbers to help us out, okay? So the chicken, she pays, I don't know, $300 to get bulk chicken. The crawfish, she's paying about $400 to get 8 to 10 pounds. The shrimp, because they're big juicy Gulf shrimp, she's paying about $400 for 8 to 10 pounds. The smoked sausage, she's paid about $80 for because she cut it in cubes. The flour for the roux, she's probably spent about another $30 on that. Then you have onions, you have peppers, the Holy Trinity, and all of this stuff that we put in it, right? You need to know how much each one of those things cost, right down to the bowl, in order to know what your profit is.
Sure.
That's one of the issues that we do. We don't know exactly how much we're spending, and we're just pricing things. So you'll say, oh, I spent all this money and I made this money, but I just broke even, or I didn't break even. Well, you didn't break even because you didn't price it out right. Again, we look at supply and demand.
And to your point, because I am a cook, truly, I have a house full of all of this stuff.
But
so I can't use all of that for my business.
Absolutely.
So that makes a difference.
Right, because what you have at your home is not for your business, right?
No, it is not.
It is not. It's probably not even enough for your business. So why am I talking about this? It sounds funny and all of this stuff, but it's really not, because these are the things that will eat into your money. When I first opened Berman, I had $4,000. Latanya had $4,000 together. I was fresh out of law school. And I remember saying, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? I hope I can make $50,000. $50,000 seemed like a lot of money because I was just starting my own business. So not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, but because I was just starting, I was a new baby lawyer, and I was like, okay, well, in paying that money, we get floors, we did all of this stuff. The floors was jacked up because I had to have my husband do it, who is not that guy. The paint, we painted the walls ourselves. It looked cute, but it was really a hot mess. I had this big old grand opening with judges and newspapers and all kind of stuff. Spent all this money on it. It was just ridiculous. For 498 square feet. I thought if I could just get a paycheck, just a small paycheck. I didn't. I didn't get a paycheck until about December. I opened October 3rd. That paycheck was $1,500. That's it. What if I had quit? Today, this business makes over $1 million a year. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not a millionaire. That don't go in my pocket. I got a high overhead. But I struggled because I knew it was something that I wanted to do. Did I have to pivot a lot? Absolutely. Do I take losses on cases right now? Absolutely. Does it tick me off? Absolutely. But it's a part of doing business. So you're going to take some losses. Anybody need a break? No? Want to plow through? Okay. So we'll take losses, but when you take those losses, what you have to do is make sure you can withstand the storm. 1 second. Can somebody open the outside door? Thank you. Now, so Ms. Jackson has made this great gumbo and she sold out the pot. And she's like, I spent $900. I made $1,000. Did you profit?
Not really, because of time and labor and exhausted and everything that you're not looking at the utilities, everything that was used.
Let's talk about time and labor. Is there a value to your time and your labor?
By all means.
Somebody,
By all means.
by all means.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Does the consumer care about your time? Does the consumer care about your labor?
Not at all.
So when you say to the consumer, I charge this much because of my time, because I had to do this, I had to stand up on my feet. You think they care about that?
No, they probably need to go home.
Huh?
That's not their problem.
That's not their problem.
It's not for them to care about.
It is not. So it's on, the onus is on you. Marsha, were you saying something? So the onus would be on you to make sure that you have included your time, your labor, your pricing, your products, all of that in your price. Because if you say to the consumer, well, what about my time and my labor? You might get, I don't care about your time or your labor. What happens though, Ms. Jackson, when they come in and they order the gumbo and now they're like, hey, can I have 2 extra to-go bowls? You told me those bowls, no. They don't want gumbo. They only want the bowls.
Oh, just to take home food? To take it home with them?
So they got their order to go. They like your bowls. And so they're like, oh, can I get 2 more of these? Because we're going to split the food.
I would.
Because you said it quickly.
I was getting ready to say I would charge them, but because of customer satisfaction, I would probably give them the bowls.
Anybody else?
No, I would charge for the bowl
I would charge.
if they want it, especially because they're probably not even putting food in it, so I would sell it.
You would sell it. Marsha?
Yes, you definitely charge for the bowl.
Misha?
I charge for the bowl.
Shanika, are you going to pay for the bowl?
Unless they bought a lot from me, I'm charging.
Absolutely not. I'm not paying for the bowl, and I wouldn't charge for the bowl either.
So I hear 2 schools of thought. Misha said, unless they bought a lot of food from me, they're going to pay for the bowl. But last week, what did we talk about?
We talked about valuing your consumer. So if you spend enough money, they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
But what else did we talk about?
Policies
And procedures. So your policy, I'll get to you. 1 second, Marsha. Your policy is bowls cost. But now, Misha, you're saying, well, if you bought a lot from me, then I'll give you the bowl, right? So now I'm going to come back to you because I bought a lot from you. I bought $400 worth of gumbo. Now, next week, I'm coming back to you and I am going to buy $50 worth of gumbo. Can I have 2 bowls? Because we're going to split this.
$50 worth of gumbo, I'll give you 2 bowls.
I spent $20.
Now I'm gonna charge you for the bowls today.
Why would you charge me for these bowls and last week you gave them to me?
If they're not written in the policies and procedures, then why are we charging?
Well, the
Right.
consumer doesn't know what's written in your procedures and policies. Only you know.
True, but
I'm gonna explain to my customer why I charge for my bowls, and maybe they'll understand why. I will break it down, explain to them why I charge for my bowls, and then maybe they will understand why when she spent $400 worth, I gave her some bowls. But if you come in here and you're just gonna, buy $50 worth, now I have to charge you for some bowls now because these bowls cost me.
Marsha?
So, but you gotta take time out to explain
Do you want to say something?
why you're not giving a bowl. You losing out on some money because there's a customer right there waiting. The second thing is that
There's drinks in the refrigerator.
if you're paying $4, I think she said she was paying $4 for the bowl. So therefore, I would not give her that bowl. If they want an extra bowl, I'll probably have some cheap styrofoam bowls. And like, this is what if you need an extra bowl, you can have this bowl. I'll provide you this bowl, but these bowls are specifically for orders. I would not give them that bowl. That's just what I would do. That's what I have done. Because I have, when I sell things, the hangers, and they want to take them out on that hanger. So there are some hangers that I will give with the clothes, and there are some hangers that I will not.
But that's a good idea to have other type of, bowls that would be, cheaper.
That is a great idea. But let's talk about that.
It's still a cost.
It's still a cost. Go ahead.
I got nothing. So, also when you buy in bulk, and a lot of times they will give you so many extra of another product trying to get you to you sell this product. Just give you some extra. So if you've got something extra and you didn't have to pay for it, then you can use at like the bowl that you might didn't have to pay for. You can give them those bowls.
So for customer satisfaction, I would give those bowls away then. For I'll give the cheaper bowls away for customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
But how cheap?
I would probably just have an all around policy and not outdo myself and have to have an extra bowl. My policy is my policy. I'm going to stick to it. Now you can also have certain restaurants where, let's say you went to Chipotle and you ordered a catering order where they're going to give you 10 of these bowls. Mm-hmm. Well, if somebody ordered $400, they ordered a catered size order. So that means give them the bowls, serve, whatever. But if they didn't and you only bought $20 worth of food, then the policy is you only get the bowl that the food came in. And if you want an extra one, I will sell it to you because I'm in the business of making money.
So let's think about it now as the consumer. Remember all of those things that you all just heard. Now, the consumer, that's who you are right now. You walk in and you're like, hey, I'm gonna get these, I'm gonna get a couple extra bowls with my gumbo. And then I say to you, no, I'm not giving out the extra bowls. You have to pay for it. Now be your real, true, honest self as a consumer.
I don't even want the food.
You don't want the food.
That part. Hey, I would say, okay, well, how much are you charging for the bowls?
I'm charging you $4 for the bowl.
I haven't been in any establishment where I've asked for something extra aside from like an extra sauce. And even I'm offended for that. Like, why am I paying you 50 cents for this extra sauce? So I know I would be very like, what? You're charging me for this bowl? And I would not be happy about that.
I get it. I get it. So I have paid extra for what I wanted. I understand that they have to, it's a business and they have to pay for their products. So if they've charged me extra, I have paid the extra depending on what it is. If I feel like it's too much and I don't want to pay that, then I don't pay it.
Same, but I wouldn't pay extra for a bowl though.
So
maybe something else.
Being older and being on the other side of business, you kind of understand a little more. Like, for example, I watched Dos Amigos, I think the Hispanic restaurant in Libertyville, packing all those little sauces that they give you for a taco. Imagine how many of those little sauces they give you. Now I had to pay somebody to sit there and put sauce in each of those containers, and I had to pay for the sauce. And 5 of them going to go in the garbage because you only needed one for your meal in the first place. So if I charge you for extra, then it makes sense when you think about the time and the cup, all those little things that went into it.
I think you just build that into your cost.
But they're
I think you build that into your cost already. Like, right. You know how like companies have loss prevention or they have a part of their budget that's just for loss. So I don't, like I said, I'm just learning the information, but for me, I would try to figure out a way to have it already incorporated in my cost as opposed to having an additional fee.
So the correct answer is actually what Tiana said. And here's why. We're entrepreneurs. You're not at Chipotle level. You're not at, now, doesn't mean you can't be, but remember, if you are, you're not taking this seminar, right? So we're entrepreneurs. We're trying to start out. You can't start out and do well by giving the store away. So as a consumer, yes, Shanika, I absolutely see what you're saying, and I agree. But as a business owner, you can't, because you will go broke. You will go broke trying to change up and trying to help this person and that person and trying to do a little bit more for this person than you did last time. You can't do that. You have to, that's why we built off of formation, policies and procedures, and now we're here. Because all of these things are the stepping stones to being a good entrepreneur and staying in business. So, Devin, were you saying something? Okay. So all of those things are stepping stones to being good entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, one of the things you have to do is you cannot think like a consumer. You can think about, oh, what might the consumer think? But you're not a consumer. You're a business owner. And as a business owner, you're in it to make money. So those $4 bowls that you're giving away, when you do that 80 times, you're cooked, right? You have not made a profit. Although you may have money in the till, you don't have a profit. And if you don't know how much the bowl, the chicken, the rice, the cornbread, the onions, the peppers, the gravy, the oil to make the roux, all of those things, if you don't know how much they cost, and you said, I'm just gonna price this bowl at $15, you could be doing yourself a disservice. But here's the flip side to that. You say, well, I'm gonna just charge $25 for this bowl. Is there a demand for a $25 bowl of gumbo to go? So now you have 3 stock pots filled with gumbo that you can't sell, right? Nobody's saying anything. Everybody's like, Renee, damn. But in all actuality, that is where you are in business. So when we talk about profit margin, when we talk about scaling a business, all of those things come into play. Because otherwise, you're throwing money down the drain. When I initially opened, we had a monthly budget for payroll and everything, it was about $8,000. Today, every single month, I need $87,000 to run. And that's not including me getting paid. That's just vendors, payroll, paper. Do you guys know paper for lawyers? I'm going to digress a little bit. It costs so much. When we send you all an envelope, every time I'm cringing because I know I've paid $3 for that envelope. How much is tape? How much is the sticky thing that you put on the envelope? All of that are costs that I have to know. But once I know those costs, what do I do with them? Where am I recording at? Or do you record it? Do you just say, oh, that's just a small thing of glue? You got to record everything. Why are you recording everything?
Because that's how you determine your profit and your profit margin.
Exactly. Now, as an entrepreneur, now we know we're either a sole proprietor, we're doing an LLC, or we're doing an S Corp, right? So we're already out of that land. And now we know that we have to adjust our profits. We got to look at what our revenue is, and then we have to look at what the profit is and what the losses are, right? So now we know that we're accounting for everything, even those onions and bell peppers, even the little black pepper that you put in there. We've accounted for all of that. And so now she's decided that I'm going to sell this gumbo for about $16. And she sees that there's a need for it. There's a demand. People are coming to buy it, and she can do the supply. Now, Previously, we were talking about when we categorize everything. So now all of this stuff that you're categorizing, at the end of the year, you're going to go back in and you're going to file your taxes. And when you file your taxes, what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, let me see what I gained and let me see what I lost. But if you're going to Miss Mary up the street, what's Miss Mary going to tell you? She's going to say, oh, you did so good. I'm going to get you a refund. In business, you're not getting a refund. If you're getting a refund in business, you are not calculating your profits and losses correctly. I can tell you now as an entrepreneur. Early on, you're not. If you are, I'm a little nervous for you. Keep my number because in federal court, I'm going to be happy to represent you. Okay? So, back to what we were just getting at. Now that we have everything accounted for, we got travel, we got mileage, repairs. Now, sometimes Ms. Jackson says, I'm gonna start doing the prep work at home for my gumbo. Can you do that?
Not if you have a brick and mortar, because it's transporting the food in between. I guess you could, but it's not conducive.
Chefs do it all the time, right? My chef used to do it. Sometimes he would, like if we were having a big event, he would prep some things and then finish cooking it at the house. Now, don't ask me about the sanitation part and all of that. We're talking about money today, okay? We're only talking about money. So, Vernessa says, you know, I've done well with this gumbo business. What do we call the business? Southern Chicks. We've done well. And I am now going to build an extension on my house because Food Network has picked her up and she's doing some other segments. In the meantime, she's done a new kitchen as an add-on. So she's not using her regular kitchen and she's cooking this gumbo in that new kitchen. Is that a tax write-off? And if so, how often?
It can be done quarterly, but you have to go through inspection. You have to.
We're only talking about money.
Okay.
Okay?
I'd say quarterly.
Quarterly? Why quarterly?
Just to make sure that you're staying positive and working everything out accordingly financially, and that you're not losing money versus gaining money. Because as it is, you're spending money out of your business, build that addition onto your house.
Mm-hmm. Now keep in mind, you're not cooking every day at your house. You cook probably 4 days, you make the roux at home, you cut up the Holy Trinity, and you do the chicken. Sometimes at home, you brown it. But you're not doing it in your main kitchen. You're doing it in this kitchen that you built, right?
Right.
So.
But how are you paying for that? You paid for it out of your business.
No, you paid for it you took out a home equity line of credit. You did a HELOC.
Wouldn't that be more like writing off like your home office or something
Exactly.
like that?
That's what I'm getting at. That is like a home office. So because you're not using your kitchen, your main kitchen, you've built this kitchen onto your home and it is solely for that. It's no different than a home office. So again, we're not using Miss Mary. We're going to use an accountant. Do you pay gas? Lights? Maybe you use internet to get some recipes? Housekeeper? Landscaping?
Not necessarily.
Who cuts the grass?
What does the grass have to do with the kitchen?
Thank you.
We're going to get there.
It's your business.
Thank you.
You can say that it's a part of keeping up. It's just like if you had a home office. If I had a client come to my house, the cost of the aesthetics to make it appeasing to my customer.
And she is absolutely right. She is absolutely right. Everything.
I married her.
Huh? I know you married up. Everything that you use in your home office or in that home kitchen, you're going to write off a portion of it. Now, You don't get all of it. If you paid the housekeeper $3,000 that year, you're not going to get $3,000 back, but you will get deductions for that. And that's why it's important. Everything that you do, you are always keeping records of it and keeping track of it. Because at the end of the year, you want to be able to just slide all of that over and say, okay, boom, I know what my profits are. I know what my losses are. On any given day, when you're really, really doing business, you should be able to pull up your profit and loss report within 10 minutes. So I'm going to digress just a little bit. Do you know there are people who, and I have a friend who does this, who will renovate their homes and use it, sleep in it, live there. But sometimes the Food Network wants to go in and do a segment, they might utilize that house. That is income. So you say, how is that income, Renee? Well, because although Food Network is paying them, they've done so much to their homes that Uncle Sam says we recognize that. Mm-hmm. So that's just me digressing a little bit. But in this game of entrepreneurship, there's always ways to make money. But there's always headaches, right? You're going to lose sometimes. Sometimes it's going to be short. Sometimes you got to go in your own pocket. Sometimes you got to know, nope, this is not a good time for me to scale. But then other times you're like, okay, I'm doing well. All is good. I'm going to save for a rainy day. As an entrepreneur, do you really get to save for a rainy day? Every time you start, guess what? Something happens. Okay, let her back in. Anybody have some questions for me? You want to get into it? This is our question and answers time.
What do you use? What software and or what do you use to calculate, or not so much to calculate, but to keep up with your gains and your losses? And I mean, I know a spreadsheet can do it, but is there like something that, can do it for you a little better than obviously the manual Excel?
Yes. So what I recommend is, one, as an entrepreneur, don't try to do it yourself. If you have a spouse, a sibling, someone who's close, and I know people don't like to mix business, but here's the thing, all the money that's coming in the house is coming in for you all anyway, right? Get someone who can be dedicated to doing that job. Because in the beginning, it might not be a lot, but as the business grows, you're going to have to make some changes. So what I would suggest is, when you first start out, and I'm going to give you guys all of these resources next week at the last session, but when you first start out, there is a website called Wave. And I like to use that one because it's free. And for entrepreneurs, it's fairly easy to use. And basically, you just put in each day or each week all of your calculations. Now, when you're really, really getting up there, I also recommend QuickBooks. QuickBooks, the online version, not the desktop version. The desktop version works well, but it's not going to work well at tax time for your accountant to log in. So I would say use the online version. That way you always have it on your app, on your phone through an app, but you can also run payroll, profit and loss statements. Any type of report you need for a business is going to be in there if you put it in. Because remember, it doesn't just get there. You have to input the information. I would also suggest that you get a ScanJet for all of your receipts. And like I said, at the end of the last session, I'm going to give you all a bunch of things that I think would be beneficial. It doesn't mean go out and buy it right now, but it's just going to be beneficial to you and your business. But I would recommend QuickBooks or Wave. Starting out in the beginning, Wave is going to be good for you.
ScanJet is like the mini portable scanners.
It is, but it's a scanner that is specifically used for small businesses and entrepreneurs. When you put your receipts in, it categorizes it for you. And once it goes in and categorizes there, it'll categorize it in QuickBooks for you, because you want to be able to work smarter, not harder. So you want to make sure that all of your receipts are going to be saved. I don't believe in keeping a lot of paper. I think it brings mice or whatever. I don't know. So I don't believe in keeping a lot of paper. I'm a little weird like that. So everything has to get scanned in. Always, always, always figure out a way to keep your stuff in the cloud. No matter what type of business you have, your paperwork needs to be somewhere else. And now that we've talked about profits, we're going to talk about succession really quick. Do you all know what succession is?
I'm sorry, real quick. When you scan it in, can you discard of the actual paper, or
You can.
still you can't? Okay,
You can.
That suffices for the government if they need to see everything. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. What about succession? When I say succession, what are you thinking? Okay. So succession is you want to have a plan in case something happens to you. And this sounds morbid, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. But when you own a business, especially if you're making money, this is something that is very, very important. Because, Miss Winston, if you were to have this great business and then you passed away, what would happen to it? Does it just die? You're on mute.
I hope not.
If the only way it doesn't is that you have some type of succession plan. And we don't like to spend money on that, right? Because we're like, oh, that's not going to happen. It's a little bit morbid, but you have to. Because especially if you have employees or if you have family, death and weddings bring out the worst in people for some reason. So if you have family and children and things of that nature, you want to make sure that your business can either survive your death and have longevity, or you can get a payout from it. So an example of that is if something were to happen to me, there's an insurance policy where all of my employees get paid for a year so that they can be okay, right? I'm not saying that every entrepreneur has to do that. But what I am saying is that you got to think about what happens to your employees. Now, some employers are like, I don't care what happens to them. But we're not going to be those kind of people. We're going to be better than that. And we're going to look out for the people that we hire because that's how you make the community better, right? Or at least that's what we tell ourselves. So based on that, there are certain, did someone say something? There are certain plans, estates, and trusts and things like that that you should always, always have as a business. If you are bringing in money, it's something to think about. Marsha, I'm going to use you as an example. I believe you're married, correct? So let's say that she goes into business with me and now she's not 4 ladies, we're 5 ladies and we're doing really, really well. And then she passes away and her husband says, well, I want my portion of the business, sell it. And I'm like, no, I made this 5 ladies. She was 4 and now I'm 5. And he's like, yeah, this is my wife's business. I want my portion. If there's no succession plan, we're going to be fighting in court. And that is an important issue when it comes down to your profits. Because your profits, you want them to have longevity for your family. So I know we touched on a lot. Now is the time. We got a few more minutes. You want to ask some questions?
What if in that succession plan and Marsha's husband came back and said he wanted his portion of the money because his wife passed? Can he buy out? Can he be bought out?
He can be bought out. You can't make him buy you out. Do you see the difference in that? So let me explain it. He can be paid her portion of the business because he is her heir. But you can't require him to pay you off because she's deceased. So, and he doesn't have skin in the game, right? It's not his business. That's why succession is important, because if you will it away, it is what it is. If you put it in a trust, it is what it is. But if you just go off of, I'm gonna be here forever, that could be a problem tomorrow. Anybody got anything else?
what's normally the answer to that, I guess, in a succession plan? Is it normally you just buy out the spouse or the heirs or whoever, or is it that they can just continue to collect the revenue from that spouse's portion, or what's normally the answer to that?
So it's going to be, remember, if you recall when we did formation, we talked about how you were formatting your business, but then we also talked about putting things in a trust and things like that to solidify yourself or insulate yourself from outside creditors and things. Your succession plan is what you make it. You sit down with an attorney and you decide how you want your succession plan to run. If you have a partner, then you both should do that, or two or three partners. You all should have a succession plan. But you're going to sit down with your lawyer and then you will decide what you want your succession plan to look like within the stipulations of the corporation or business that you have. I actually thought this was going to be a much longer session tonight because it's kind of in depth, but you all picked it up very, very quickly. Not that I didn't think you would. It's been pretty great.
My phone had or my iPad every night. I had to switch to my phone. But when you were talking about the QuickBooks and the scan debt and all that, and you said, was that Wave? What was that?
Wave. But I'm going to give you a whole list of everything. Next week, I'm going to give you all, on the last session, I'm going to give you some PowerPoints from these sessions. I'm going to give you a bunch of resources that you can use, including like tax people and software and all kinds of things to just get you going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Don't be. Does anybody else have anything? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was yelling at my grandson.
It's okay.
Well, when you said, because like when I do these events, and sometimes I have, my kids help me, but when my sister-in-law helped me, and I pay her, so I write it down, but it's not like she was like, and I try to get her to sign something, and she won't sign anything. So generally, it's just money that I'm just giving her.
No, do not do that. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking it in my head earlier and then it slipped past my mind. So remember when I said the landscaper, the chef, the this, the that, that's working in the house? Those people get what's called a 1099 or a W-2 based on how much money they've made. That's a must. Someone who's working, we call those household workers, but someone who is working for you, they get a 1099, whether they want to or not, because otherwise you're taking a loss on that, right? Mm-hmm. So you're taking a loss. You're not getting any credits for it because they don't want to sign anything. There's nothing to sign. You're an independent contractor. You're getting this 1099. I don't care if you file your taxes with it or not, but you need that. And it doesn't matter that it's your family and family is like, oh, I don't want to do this. No, it's business. They get a 1099. And QuickBooks will help you if you use that type of software. If not, your accountant can issue a 1099 for them.
Okay, now one more. So, is it a certain amount before they have to file it on their taxes?
I don't know the answer to that question. I believe it's 10,000, but I'm not sure. I don't do tax law, and I don't want to give you the wrong information on that.
No, because I just know my accountant says if you're not paying them $10,000, they should do the 1099. You can give them the 1099 because they're not making that much.
Give them a 1099, whether they want it or not. It's because here it is. You're the boss. It's your business. All of the onus is on you to do right. It's not on them. It's on you. So you give it to them. What they do with it is on them. But you also need that as a part of your income and your losses.
Yep.
Because you can get deductions for that. When everybody was doing the PPP loan, part of what people were doing that was fraudulent was they were making up employees. And they were doing it in a way where they knew that these people didn't exist. Well, how do you prove that? The 1099s. So when they did these applications and said, yes, I did this work and I own this daycare, I own this and I own that, and then the actual people that they had put down never filed any of that stuff, it all comes back. And that's how a lot of people got caught. So I say that to say, I'm going to do the right thing. What you do is on you. But in order to keep my business running, keep 4 ladies running, we're going to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Going forward, I will be doing that from now on.
And you can do an amendment. You can do an amendment. I'll bet you'll probably get more money. I don't know if you get a refund, or if you owe money. If you owe money, it'll probably go down. If you get money, it'll go up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I thought so, but I'm trying to be nice.
Nice is not your friend in business.
Right.
Smiles are your friend because the client or the consumer believes that you're listening to them, which you should be, but smiles are your friends, but being nice is not. It can be the detriment of you.
Mm-hmm. True.
Anybody else have anything for me? You all have been great tonight. You all have been very interactive. I appreciate that. I thought that this was going to be one of the sessions that you all would like, but would also be like, ugh. And I'm glad we all were able to come together and get something out of it. Next week, we're going to do branding. That is going to be our last session. I do not anticipate that it is going to take this much time, but branding is important because branding is going to be how you get your business and how you retain your business and what your business looks like moving forward. So that's what we'll be on next week. It'll be branding and we'll be done. Okay?
Thank you, Renee.
You're
Sure.
welcome.
Thank
What,
you.
Marsha, what do you have before we go?
Oh, on a good note,
Yes.
4 ladies just bought its trailer.
I wanted to congratulate you on that because I did see it. So 4 ladies will be pulling up to your home soon.
Yep. I'm gonna get it painted and get my logo on it. So next time, looking for 4 ladies trailer.
Love it. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm
All right. Good night, you all.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Tiana, for being a good sport.